So good evening. I am Bonnie Severchek, and I have the privilege of being the city manager here in Lynchburg. And I wanted to just do a little introduction about the Main Street Renewal project. I do want to recognize, as most good city managers do, recognize the elected officials in the room. So Mayor Trinae Tweedy is here, over here, and Councilmember Randy Nelson is over here, and I think that's all I see. So thank you for being here. And thank you to everybody for spending some of your really valuable time with us this evening to hear about the why of this project. We need to move forward with what has been formerly called the Downtown Waterline Replacement and Streetscape Project and has been rebranded as the Main Street Renewal Project. So the major issues, are to complete the waterline replacement project, to update our sewer and stormwater features, to modernize underground electrical systems that meets current and future downtown capacity, and update our streetscape features that enhance the experience of both our pedestrians and our drivers. The project area is from Main Street, it's on Main Street from 8th to just past 12th Street, and varying parts of 9th Street, 10th Street, 11th, and 12th, between Church and Commerce, as shown on the more salmon-colored area on the map. This project really is about a partnership that came to us in early June when Appalachian Power invited city folks to a meeting to talk about a project that they have to do on Main Street. And as you know from the conversations last week and the media outlets, that we had to move the city's phase 2 of our downtown renewal project from Commerce Street to this new area. And Jim Hines is going to talk a little more about the AEP part of that. So partnering allows us to achieve greater efficiencies in planning and outreach and construction. And with this project, it really, we believe, is a no-brainer and makes us impact Main Street just once. So we'll be replacing the AEP infrastructure and the waterline infrastructure at the same time, hopefully not getting in each other's way. So it will be a massive coordination project. And from an economics perspective, it will give us cost-sharing opportunities that were not available if we did the project separately. So with that, I'm going to introduce Jim Hines from Appalachian Power to tell you more about the why from the electric part. This is the clicker. Thanks, Jim.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to be back in Lynchburg. I spent 15 good years here from 92 until 2006 when I moved to Roanoke for my second time. So Lynchburg is where I raised my kids, and so I've got a vested interest in Lynchburg and would like to even consider moving back here one day. So I'm hoping we can get this project off on the right foot and maintain the vitality of the downtown Lynchburg area, because I know it is still growing and may well into the future. So this project is going to address some of those loading concerns. But let me talk a little bit about the, if I can get this right. Let me talk about the background of our system, the need of why we're doing this project, and the benefits of the project as well. Some of our system was initially installed in the 30s, believe it or not. I don't think a whole lot of that is still around, but some of it is. A lot of the manholes and infrastructure still exist. As you can see to the right, this is one of our secondary manholes. There's not much room around the middle of it where we have to put an individual with a ladder to get down in there. Back in the day when it was installed, we probably worked this energized. Today we couldn't do that with our safety standards. We'd have to de-energize it all. And I'll say that for a purpose in another slide. I'll show you why. But over those 80 plus years, we've involved several upgrades, a lot of repairs, and maintenance to that system to keep it going. But we've recognized that a newer, more modern system is definitely needed for the downtown area. Why? Primarily to improve the reliability of our operating system downtown, and we're going to add some enhanced new technology capability to make that happen, and also to handle the additional load growth, as you all are aware of more businesses coming into the downtown area and residential growth. For example, the Christ building, I understand, has recently been bought, and the Versar building may be renovated to accommodate additional residential load. So that's going to be included in this project. What do we look to replace? We're going to replace most of our wire, if not all of it. Our transformers, the duct banks that connect these vaults that we're going to be operating in, the concrete vaults themselves. We will be replacing the brick vaults. These brick vaults were hand-made inlaid brick back in the 30s. A lot of the grate tops are going to be replaced. The grates that we have in most locations of our vaults are not ADA rated. We're going to put in new grates that are wheelchair and what we call wheels and heels accessible, to where you ladies that wear heels wouldn't get your heels caught in the existing grades that we have now. And wheelchairs and strollers tend to get caught in this as well. And lastly, when the Streetscape part of the program rolls out, we will incorporate new street lights along the main street from 12th to 8th, as we did from 5th to 8th. If you notice the new LED street lights that we have on Church and Main, those will be incorporated into the project as well. These are pictures of products that we installed in other cities and what we hope to bring here to Lynchburg. But you can see this picture on the left is what we call a secondary handhole. Those wires are well tagged and marked. The yellow tags show where they're going to or from, and enhance our employees' ability to define, what they're physically working on. Plus, it gives them a lot more room to work in that area. If you remember the brick manhole I showed initially, they've got a lot more room in these handholds. And the tops of these handholds are capable of withstanding a car on top of them, so they won't crush. But that's the newer stuff. The picture on the right is a vault with a transformer in it, the blue thing there. And our study will involve looking at all the loading and proposed loading down in future years to hopefully accommodate that as well. Because some of them, we're pretty certain we're approaching our limits. But you can see how nicely the wires are racked on the walls. You got a lot more room to walk around in and work them individually a lot better than they were in that first picture. So this is what we ultimately hope to have. These are pictures of a vault and a sidewalk there on the left, and another vault, the same size vault in the street. These are pictures, I believe, in Roanoke that we just recently did. But the bigger hole, the graded cover there, is where we put our equipment in through the hole, and the round 36-inch manhole on the left would be where our workers enter. So those are, they vary in size, and we are waiting on the survey to come back to tell us, what we have where in the ground, so that we can determine where we can place these things. We are looking at relocating some of them on Main Street. As I stated, we just recently, we're still working on the finishing product in Roanoke, but we've had a very successful campaign in the downtown Roanoke area. I believe we've worked upwards of 2 years on that project. It is very close to completion. We worked very closely with the city of Roanoke and businesses. Anybody that was interested in the project, we have kept them informed. And I intend to do the same thing. I am the project manager of the construction for this job, so I'll be involved a lot when we get started with other individuals in the room that we have tonight that will be back in the back after the presentation is over to entertain questions. But we're very proud of what we have accomplished in Roanoke and feel that it's a strong product for many, many, many decades to come. So thank you very much, and that's pretty much the extent of my presentation. I'll turn it over to Tim.
Thank you, Jim. I'm Tim Mitchell, and I'm the Director of Water Resources for the City of Lynchburg. And just to tell you a little bit about the why we're doing what we're doing, actually our system makes Appalachian system look young. Our system is well over 100 years old. We actually have a water line just right outside the building here that was installed in 1829, and that water line is actually the second oldest publicly owned water line in the country. So we have a very old system. There's actually two water lines now on Main Street, one on each side of the road. They're at two different pressure zones. So our system is very complex for a water system with the two different pressure zones, two different water lines, and the age of the system and age of the valves. One of the big issues with the water system when it gets older is being able to control the water should there be a break, because a lot of times the valves that control the system don't operate effectively. So one of the things that we're going to be doing over the next year as we design this project is we're going to be looking to make better improvements to the water system capacity and reliability. Many of you have probably experienced some water line breaks in the downtown area, and it's not pleasant. There's a lot of times there's damage to public infrastructure and private assets as well. So again, this project will update all those water lines. We feel that this is a tremendous opportunity to work with Appalachian Power. Together, we're estimating that the combined investment in downtown is over $16 million, and it could be even more than that by the time it's all said and done. But it's a tremendous opportunity for public investment, a public-private partnership to have a great project. It's going to be challenging, but we're very excited about it. We're also going to be looking at our sewer system and stormwater system in the area. And you may have already seen some of the surveyors and utility line locators out and about in the Main Street area. We will be, in the very near future, we will actually be televising some of the sewer lines and storm lines, and we'll be doing that at night also to help minimize disruption. But we want to make sure, we want to see what condition those lines are in and see what needs to be done to make sure that those lines are good for another 100 years. So many of you also are aware, just looking outside the building here and on Church Street, what it might look like when it's done. We're going to be looking at improving the streetscape. We're going to be making it more pedestrian friendly. There will be decorative crosswalks and sidewalks. The street lighting will be updated to look much like you see out here. Benches, trash cans, planters, and other elements will be incorporated into the design to also improve the aesthetics of the area. And then native trees will be planted to help beautify the corridor. And we'll be working with stakeholders throughout the design process to get input and ideas about this. So just looking at the schedule, like I mentioned, we're already out surveying, and so the process will be over the next 6 months, we will be working on the design of the new utilities in coordination with the Appalachian Power. This will be, as Jim mentioned, this will be a pretty massive coordination effort because the water lines are typically about 3 or 4 feet deep, while the sewer lines are typically 7 or 8 or even up to 15 feet deep. And then we've got to thread all of Jim and Appalachian Power's infrastructure in between all those lines. We'll also be renewing the service lines from the water lines over to the businesses and residents. So all that's new infrastructure when we're done as well. So we will be updating you soon after the first of the year on the project schedule, more detailed information about the project. But in the meantime, we will definitely be seeking your input into the process. The public outreach goals, it's early and often. You may have noticed last week there was an extensive effort to reach out and contact every business and every property within the project area. And we wanted to do that and make that personal contact before you heard about it through the media. So the goal is to keep the stakeholders, the businesses, the residents, and anybody that's impacted by this project informed and up to date as we go through the process. We will currently be scheduling one-on-one in-depth meetings. Jess Gearing is in the back of the room after the meeting. You can get with her to talk to her about a specific meeting schedule or any other questions you may have. Jess, can you raise your hand so that everybody sees you? Also, during construction, let me back up one slide. One of the things that we also will be doing during construction is finding creative ways to accommodate your needs. This was a photo from phase 1, and obviously when you pour a new concrete sidewalk, you can't walk on the sidewalk right away. So a temporary bridge was built over the sidewalk to maintain access, and we will, as one of the goals of the project, is to maintain access to your businesses or your residents and everything through the process. And then during construction, we'll be working with you on a daily basis. We'll have someone out in the field on a daily basis to address issues and concerns before they become major, so that we can head off some of the issues that may crop up as we go along. And as I mentioned, as we complete the design, we will have another stakeholder meeting. We'll have another meeting like this, and then give you more information about the project overall. One of the things that I want to mention is, with all the growth and development downtown right now, there's really never a better time. There never will be a better time to do this project than right now. Because the more people we have downtown, the more businesses that we have, the more demands it's putting on the electrical system, the more demands it's putting on the water system, and the more difficult it's going to be to do the construction. So with this partnership opportunity that we have with Appalachian Power, this is going to be the best time that we could ever do this project. And our goal is to do the project once and be done on Main Street for the next 100 years. So that kind of wraps up our formal presentation. What we have planned now is, in the back of the room, we have 5 tables set up. We have staff at each table to answer specific questions to the extent we can at this point. Again, this meeting is more about the why than the how, because we haven't figured out the how yet. But we wanted to make sure that you were aware of why we are changing from Commerce Street to Main Street, and understand the needs that we have with the water system, the sewer system, as well as the electrical system and Appalachian Power's needs. So with that, Bonnie, is there anything else you want to say? We will break up. Feel free to help yourself to more of the food and drinks that we have. And again, go to the tables in the back, and you can see a map of the proposed project, and we'll have staff there to answer more specific questions. So thank you very much for coming out tonight. We really appreciate your input.
Sidewalks and we have a road, so I want at least 2 of those open at any one time.